Hey, we're going to call this an episode of the Black Hand Communique. I'm a lot. How do I start this? I've been getting tired of a lot of shit lately, and I'm getting tired of putting it out in little droll paragraphs on Facebook to people that read it but don't really give a shit about it. I feel like I can reach a lot more people if I talk directly to a camera as though you are in front of me. And you can hate me or like me or hate what I have to say or like what I have to say. But I'll basically be, for lack of a better word, we'll call it a pundit. But from my unique political point of view, which is kind of a synthesis of libertarianism and green, but I'll just call it anarchism. And I'm not going to get into arguments about who the fuck gets to be an anarchist and doesn't get to be an anarchist, or left or right, or what kind of property issues there are. And I'm not going to get into the technicalities of it right now either. I'm just going to get right into what I call snarky segments, which is really just me going to different news sites, reading what they're talking about, whatever the specific headlines of the day are, and giving you my perspective on it. And if you like it, then good. Like and share it. And if you don't like it, then I suggest you go fuck yourself in the asshole without lubricant. Unless you like to do that, and then do something you don't like, because I'm trying to be insulting. So, as I've said before, my name's Ryan O'Dowd. This is the Black Hand Communique. And basically, it's more and more I realize this world is completely full of shit. And it's completely full of shit. It's on the foundation of contradictions and lies, and there's lawlessness for the ruling class and, tyranny for the governed class. And those that consider themselves powerful get to do whatever they want. And those that consider themselves good, decent people just get fucked with all the time. And they can't, when it really, there's a fundamental battle between the haves and the have-nots, or the 1% and the 99%, or the state and the citizenry, as they like to call us, then we lose. That's the fucking problem, is we always lose. Because they have the power, because they get to be lawless, and we don't. They live in a space above and beyond the law, because they make the law. They fund the law. And the law is therefore beholden to them, and therefore there is no law for them, but the one that they create for themselves. And I guess my point of view is we should at least be able to have that privilege unto ourselves, rather than being subject to their hypocrisies. But I guess I'm getting all philosophical about it, when I should just, roll over and get a 9-to-5 job and pay my taxes and have 2.3 kids and support our country every time we go into war, and not mind when my labor is being stolen from me by unfair wages, and not care that I can't own a piece of property, I can't even own it collectively with anyone else, because ultimately the state reserves the right to steal it from me no matter what, and all that. But I guess I should, according to them, just be very quiet about it and cooperative, because people like me, like I actually am, not like they think I should be, they just laugh, that's the thing. Oh, ridicule. Oh, well, your political views are better held in the dorm room than it is in real life. Yeah, well, fuck you. I'm not going to go to your dorm rooms either, because I don't believe in your educational machinery. So you call it. It's all a bunch of bullshit, people, and I'll get down to it. If you don't believe me, disagree with me, but listen and hear what I have to say about it. All right, let's see. I'm on the bbc.co.uk here, and I'm looking at the top news story. Ukraine rebels stormed the Luhansk offices, or Luhansk. Yeah, I imagine that's about how it's pronounced. Okay, I'm now waiting for it to load, because there we go. Apparently my loading is a bunch of dick here. So, the pro-Russian activists, oh boy, have stormed several office buildings in the eastern Ukrainian city of Luhansk. They seized the regional government's headquarters and prosecutor's office before opening fire with automatic weapons at the main police station. Well, at least that's interesting. I don't like that they're pro-Russian. I'll say that's my first opinion. I don't know if you know this, like on InfoWars and Drudge and on other RT and other radical news sites supposedly. They've been really doing a lot of pro-Russian propaganda lately, and I don't really get that, because Russia's a horrible, horrible country. Or at least, no, it's a wonderful country. with a rich history among the people, but it's got terrible government. It's always had a terrible government. And we have a terrible government too. But that being said, I'm not going to trump up the United States and the EU, who are just trying to dominate the markets in Ukraine right now. And so they installed a fascist dictator. And if you look it up, the dude is a dictator and he's a fascist. The guy that was for the revolution, quote unquote, he was openly anti-Semitic. He wanted to kill Jewish people, and he was a revolutionary. No, revolutionaries aren't for racial eradication. That's called a reactionary. Okay, so there's a reactionary movement installed by the CIA and the NSA in Western Ukraine. It was all of Ukraine. And then Russia said, well, if you're going to invade and take a chunk of them, I'm going to take a chunk too. So they took Crimea, and now they're trying to take the eastern part of the city. And these poor fucking Ukrainian people, they're having to choose between being dominated by the West or dominated by Russia. And they don't even get a chance to fucking have self-determination. Because once again, when it fundamentally comes down to it, the powerful are lawless. Those who are under their power are subject to tyranny. That's the way that the entire world works. It's anarchy for the rich, fascism for the poor. That's anarchy for the government, fascism for the citizens. That's the way it fucking works. It doesn't matter what you separate as the divide, who you want to say is the ruling class and who isn't. It's always anarchy for the top, fascism for the bottom. We get fucked, they have control. That's the way it works, and it's not right. So in regards to the Ukraine crisis, I gotta say, I find it very interesting that they're shooting at the police. I just wish it wasn't that they were funded by the Russian KGB or ex-KGB, whatever they're calling it nowadays, and that they weren't just a nationalist, they're nationalist Russians, nationalist Europeans, and then they're using market control and domination and imperialism is what it's really called, to just divide the country in two, like it's Poland between Hitler and Stalin, or like it's Germany after World War II between NATO and the Soviet Union. They're just doing it again and again. That's what they do. They just gobble shit up. They expand and they gobble shit up. So that's my take on the most recent happenings in the Ukraine. Let's see what else we got going on. I don't care about your soccer teams. Ooh, does wine and beer equal a hangover? How relevant. That should really be on the cover of the fucking BBC News. Oh, right. That whole shit. The NBA, I'm not even going anywhere near that. Tornado blew apart an Arkansas community. Well, there's nothing we can do about that. I mean, it's a symptom of climate change, and I do absolutely agree with 97% of the world's climatologists when they say man-made climate change is man-made climate change, and that our actions participate in it. I do not have any faith in the governments or the internationalist solution to have a carbon trade that's really run by the central banks of different countries, because it's just a way to clamp down and have even more power over our currency, over our lives, over our labor, over what we do. I think the real solution to climate change and the solution to personal liberty issues and civil liberty violations is for each of us to be able to have our own energy source on our own home of wind and solar, and to protect and defend it as our property, or engage in collectivists, voluntarily engage in collectivism on a horizontal level if that's what we want to do as well, and also produce our own energy for our community. And it's always community sovereignty over all things. If I talk much longer, I'm not going to be able to load this video. So I'm going to post it, and I'm going to do this shit every now and then because there's no reason not to. And because I'm goddamn tired of all the bullshit that's going on. And it all comes down to the same thing, which is lawlessness for the elite, tyranny for the poor, lawlessness for the state, fascism for the citizens, lawlessness for the rich, and iron-handed fucking clampdown for the poor. Any oppressed people, whether it's the poor versus the rich, whether it's black versus whites, whether it's women versus men, whether it's liberty lovers versus the state, whether it's the individual versus society, whoever the oppressed person is subject to the control of others, and whoever the controlling power is lawless and hypocritical. That is universal throughout all time, up until now. And I just say we should have the right to conduct our own affairs in freedom and not be subject to those who get to be free but force us to be slaves. I'm Rhino Dowd. This is the Black Hand Communique, and fuck the goddamn machine.